Let's talk about a big idea. An idea that might just flip everything you thought you knew about spiritual goals on its head. What if that ultimate state of bliss, the one people spend their entire lives trying to reach, what if it isn't the finish line at all? What if it's actually the final exam?
This idea comes straight from Osman, who you might know as the blind Muslim yogi. And right there, that quote really sets the stage. He's telling us that the very things we see as the ultimate prize, samadhi, nirvana, they're not the end. They're actually the last and maybe the toughest hurdle you have to clear.
So to really get our heads around this, you first have to understand the person behind it. This isn't just some abstract theory he cooked up. No, this comes from a lifetime of direct and honestly pretty startling personal experiences.
My name is Osman, and my background is really rooted in a lifetime of practice. I'm a master-level bioenergy healer, and I use telepathic methods that work with the principles of quantum entanglement. It's allowed me to specialize in some of the toughest cases you can imagine, things like critical care and terminal illness recovery. And all of this is built on a foundation of more than 50 years of deep, advanced yoga and meditation.
My journey started really young, around age 7 or 8, but the moment that changed absolutely everything happened when I was just 19. It was completely unexpected. I fell into my very first state of samadhi, this incredibly profound state of consciousness. And the way it happened is what's so wild. I wasn't doing some complicated secret ritual. Nope. I was just reciting a simple, common mantra. After about 2 months of this, the bliss got so powerful, so overwhelming, that I literally passed out. When I came to, I was just floored. I couldn't even speak for a solid hour. And that leads to the big question, right? How on earth did I stumble into an experience that people dedicate their whole lives to achieving, often without ever getting there? I didn't have a formal guru or any special initiation, so what was different?
Well, the answer, at least the one that makes the most sense from a yogic science perspective, comes down to this idea of the granthis, or the spiritual knots. And this, right here, is the key to understanding the whole thing.
So what are these knots? The best way to think about them is like energetic dams inside your system. They're blockages in your subtle body, your energy body, that literally stop the flow of life force, what many call kundalini. And the ancient texts are clear. As long as these knots are tied tight, a true spiritual awakening is pretty much impossible.
And there are 3 main ones that get in the way. The first one is down at the root, and it's all tied up with our deepest survival instincts and fears. The second is at the heart, connected to all our emotional attachments. And the third, the big one, is at the third eye. This one is all about our ego, our identity, our intellect. For most people, untying these is the work of a lifetime.
So how did I just sidestep all of that? Well, the most logical explanation I could find was, honestly, pretty simple. The knots just weren't there. The only thing that made sense to me was reincarnation. I must have already done the hard work of untying them in a previous life. And in this life, I was just picking up my journey right where I'd left off.
And this is really where my understanding took a sharp turn from the mainstream. Because I could access these states so easily, I started to see them differently. Not as the destination, but as something else. A beautiful but kind of dangerous final frontier.
Okay, let's break this down. The common view, right, is that getting to samadhi, that state where you just merge into oneness, is the end goal. It's like the drop of water returning to the ocean. But my view is that this state is actually the final test. The real goal isn't to just dissolve into the ocean. It's to experience the ocean, then come back to being a single drop, and then consciously build a relationship with that whole entire ocean.
You see, that first stage of bliss, it's like an atom bomb of ecstasy. It is so intense, so overwhelming, that your first instinct is to just say, stop. It's like being tickled so much it's not fun anymore. And it's so easy to get completely lost in that feeling. It's a beautiful, beautiful trap that can stop you from going any further. And that leads to the ultimate challenge, the final boss battle for the ego, if you will. Once you move past that initial bliss, you enter this state of total oneness. And the danger? The final trick the ego plays is the thought, I am God. Because you're experiencing yourself as everything. Your little finite mind can hijack that infinite experience. And if you believe that thought, if you fall for that trap, you failed the final test. You've missed the entire point.
So if merging into the infinite isn't the real goal, then what is? What's waiting on the other side of that final test?
It's not about losing yourself. It's about transforming yourself. I believe the highest spiritual attainment is having that incredible, direct experience of the infinite and then coming back
coming back to your individual self, holding that memory, and then making a conscious choice to be in a relationship of worship and reverence with the source of it all.
And that leads to this incredible state of surrender. It's like that famous footprints in the sand story. You look back on your life and see only one set of footprints during the hardest times, and you think you were abandoned. But the realization is, no, that was when you were being carried. It's a total shift from trying to be God to finally allowing yourself to be held and supported by that greater power.
So based on this whole perspective, which really came from decades of intense practice and a very high success rate in my healing work, I now try to guide other people on their own paths.
My whole mission is to take these ancient, sometimes very complex sciences and just simplify them, make them focused on getting results. I offer a lot of this information for free on my YouTube channel and my podcast. And for those who want to go deeper, I have paid services on my Patreon, like live lessons and consultations. Now, my premium healing services are not inexpensive, and there's a reason for that. It's a reflection of 50 years of relentless practice, at times up to 18 hours a day, and still a minimum of 8 to 10 hours a day just sharpening the sword. That's what's behind the uncommonly high success rates.
So if any of this is clicking with you and you want to keep exploring these ideas, you can find my podcast. It's called The Blind Muslim Yogi, and it's on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're there, please do hit that follow button. It's a great way to continue the journey.
And this is really important. I always stress that my healing work is meant to be complementary to traditional medicine, never a replacement. For anyone who's dealing with serious physiological, psychological, or spiritual issues and is curious about this path, I offer a free, completely no-obligation consultation just to talk about the possibilities.
And for absolutely everything we've talked about today, more about my philosophy, details on the services, how to get in touch for that free consultation, the one place to go for all of it is my website, yogawellness786.com.
So I'll leave you with the same thought we started with. This idea really reframes the entire spiritual quest. It asks you to think, what if that peak experience you're chasing isn't the end of the race at all? What if it's just the final starting block for a journey that's much deeper and way more meaningful than you ever imagined?